The purpose of life is not to be happy, but to matter, to be productive, to be useful, to have it make a difference, that you lived it all. The quote I guess I would apply to my life, especially these later years, because the longer you live, the more you are open to a bump in the road. Things are not always go the way we want, but if you can find an area in your life where you're productive and you're necessary, those will get you through just about anything. And I've tried to instill that in my children too. When I hear the word family, if I had to put it down, distill it, what does it mean? It's togetherness. It's that togetherness that you can take on the world. If you've got a family you're proud of and you want to be with, that's everything. I was born in a little home that my grandparents lived in on a brick street. The hospitals were not an option. That was for wealthy people. I can never figure it out. I think it had something to do with antiseptic quality of ink, because I was born on a bunch of newspapers, popped into the world on newspapers. My mother had the help of her mother and her Aunt Nell, and I suppose the doctor was called when things were getting pretty close. That's just the way it was at that time, and that's how I came into the world. As I've said before, my dad was very ambitious. And I think I mentioned that if you ever turned the railroad down, you were not offered again. So, as the job openings came up, as the railroads expanded, and they were looking for men who didn't have to go home and ask the family if they could move. That isn't what the railroads were looking for. They were looking for men who would say, on the spot, you bet, when do you want me to go? And that was my dad. We lived in Missouri, Nebraska, Kansas, and Arkansas. The railroad would move you for free, but the downside of that was that your furniture was loaded on a boxcar with very little padding around it or anything. And so, oh boy, we'd get to a place where the furniture would be unpacked and there'd be a leg broken here or an arm broken there on the chairs. And Mom would just, get out the glue or whatever it took and put it all together. Now there's school. My brother Dick and we would come in midterm probably a lot of times. Maybe we'd even move into town with a month left of school before summer break. That was hard on us academically because you miss out on a lot. We made 17 different moves and 4 different high schools. I didn't stay long enough for anybody to know me very well. And I really found it difficult to try to make friends. Mother, as I said before, would read to us. And as we were growing up, I remember when Gone with the Wind came out, that book. Mother got that book and brought it home, and I'd never seen such a thick book. And she said, we're going to read this book one chapter at a time, but the supper dishes have to be done and put away before. Well, normally, Dick would not have to help me with the dishes. That was my job. That was woman's work. But anyway, he would help me because we loved that book, and she would read a chapter a night. When we would go visit my grandparents, after we moved away from Falls City, we'd go back and visit. And my brother Dick and I were always relegated up to the attic. There was a bed up there, and we would sleep up in the attic. If there was a storm, I will never forget how the wind and the rain sounded on that roof, because we just didn't have anything like that at all. And then, of course, we would go with my Grandpa Fraser to the Falls City Park, and he'd push us on the swings and the teeter-totter and all that kind of stuff. And that was special for us because my dad didn't have time for much of that. He really worked very hard at the railroad. So to have a grown man want to take us to the park was pretty special, pretty nice for us.